Welcome back, guys. Tactical AV here. Well, we have finally moved in to our brand new home, and while I can definitely say that I've had my hands full, well, there is a lot of work to still be done. And of course, not mentioning the fact that our son, brand new baby boy, was just born, and we've created, well, sort of a sanctuary for him, if you will. You see, we've just had our baby boy born on February 28th. And while it's not only important that the environment a baby be brought home in be clean and, well, sterile, but it's also important that the sound doesn't necessarily travel to where he'll be sleeping. And to be honest with you, he should have internet in his room as well. In addition to 4 security cameras being placed around the perimeter of the home on the exterior, we'll also have baby monitors placed throughout. Did I mention there was still a lot of work to do? But I can definitely say that I've enjoyed trying to find things that I myself enjoyed as a child and growing up. And I will say that my first word as a baby was actually tow truck. I'm not kidding. So I'll be having a truck theme in his room with some interesting toys and imagery. But to be honest with you, for now I'm sort of facing a small dilemma. Did I mention there's a ton of work to do? Well, some people might appreciate these gorgeous, beautiful 1980 drapes and, well, blinds set at some point. I personally don't. But of course, in certain homes and whatnot, themes run throughout, so we'll attempt to keep a certain theme, just, well, not with this. But being in a secluded location this time, more in a wooded area, this home really fits the bill. And to be totally honest with you, most people are probably well aware of this, but it's very popular to place a flat panel TV screen, well, on top of the mantle of the fireplace. Yes, it is real brick. However, if you're not already aware, fireplaces create heat, and, well, a lot of it. And I choose to not place my expensive Sony 4K TV above the fireplace, where a ton of heat can slowly melt my components and make the thermal paste on chipsets wear out much quicker. I mean, it's certainly no secret that heat is the killer among electronics, am I wrong? But nonetheless, I'm going to actually be walking through the whole home with you guys at some point here soon, and we're going to actually be going through each and every one of the rooms, making it, well, tactical audio video friendly, so to speak. But when you move into a new home, you certainly want to do one thing, and that's have an inspection. But after an inspection reveals everything looks good and dandy and appears to be functioning and safe, I like to get a good idea of the power grid of the home. Very simple, single-phase outlets here. I believe current electric code states that an outlet must be on every wall or 6 feet placed apart from each other. But nonetheless, before you get cable, internet, TV, or any of that crap, satellite, we want to make sure our electricity is safe and functioning and, well, set up properly for 2-channel stereo equipment and home theater stuff. So first things first was really the baby's room. I wanted to make sure the baby's room was safe. Whether there's going to be AV equipment in here or not at some point isn't relevant. However, the outlets are where I started and at the breaker and panel. So one of the things I'm definitely looking for is either 100 amp or 200 amp service at the home. Now, some homes that are larger are going to have 200 amp breaker panels, boxes, and others, well, will just have simply a 100 amp breaker box. I like to see a 200, however, you can always add that down the road. Okay, the next thing is the outlets, though. Once we've got an idea of the panel, the breaker box, and the outlets, are they grounded outlets, and are they wired properly, polarity correct, so on and so forth. So upon further inspection, I found that even in the baby's room. The outlets, which these were replaced. So I'm going to point this out for you guys right here. If we take a look at the walls, nowadays the electrical code states that on any one specific wall, so we've got a wall here, we've got a wall there. There should be an outlet at least every 6 feet, if I'm not mistaken, or at least on each wall. So we've got an outlet there that appears to be good, but we've got a wall here, and no, there's no outlet. Now the wall does end in the corner, of course, and well, we continue over here, and there's one more outlet, but upon inspecting even this room, the outlets were wired incorrectly. They were not groundable outlets, and upon taking them out, there's only a hot and a neutral, so a white and a black wire in this case, but no ground cable, baby. That's not good. So a little bit of explanation or education, if you will. GFCI outlet, obviously grounded. And on a different floor of the home, we have, well, grounded outlets that actually have the ground cable. Okay, so as far as the educational part, they have grounded and, well, ungrounded outlets. Ungrounded and, well, 3-prong grounded. And, well, if you think that ground or third prong is useless, well, you are sorely mistaken, my friend. You see, so what happens when you take outlets that are incorrectly wired in terms of polarity, install a new grounded outlet in them, but they only have a hot and a neutral wire, no ground? Let's just say it isn't hard to figure out that larger components are going to have the third prong grounded and smaller electrical components won't. So obviously when we're talking about audio and video equipment, well, let's just say that I think everything I own that's got an IEC power cord is grounded and has the third prong. You see, that ground is there to protect your equipment. So let's just say that you don't want to run an extension cord from your breaker panel all the way up to the outlet and say it's grounded now. I even knew a guy when I was in college that didn't have ground wiring in his home, and all he did was go into the basement, wrap a wire around a steel pipe, and, well, run it upstairs. And I'm not gonna lie, it worked. Totally out of code, though. You see, to properly do a ground wire, you'd actually need to run new Romex from your breaker panel, which these are not ours original, but to actually start from scratch and wire new Romex in, completely going up to each individual outlet, or junction it off and feed it routes from there. I'll take you guys upstairs here to the 3rd floor in a second, and we'll find out even a little more weird situation. Might I say that the outlets were a little bit inadequate and possibly outdated? Never use one of these adapters for stereo or video equipment. But I'm simply going to show you after a new junction box that's straight, we don't want the outlet touching, has been installed. Now, I've installed a grounded outlet in this room. I do have a lamp plugged into it now. I've also had this guy plugged in and functioning as well. However, when you take an outlet, say for instance, I believe this is the one that came out of this particular outlet. So 2 prongs, no ground, no third prong, and, well, no ground wires. So that means 2 wires, hot and neutral, right? That's all that was running here. To run a ground, we would actually need to run a wire either from a pipe in the basement, or the ground in the basement, or the breaker panel, right? And run Romex up to this. Since it's only got 2 wires, is the stuff still grounded? No. And that's where we begin to run into issues. Now, it's okay, say, plugging in a small Pioneer power amp like this because, well, it's not necessarily the grounded cord. However, when we get into the bigger boys and like the power amps like the Red Dragons and the Parasounds, then we'll run into problems. You see, so before I can actually finish things on up and tear out the carpet, start painting and whatnot, well, I've got to make sure that there's ground wires going to all of these outlets. But to say the least, at this point, no, the outlets aren't actually grounded. That is live, so I won't touch it, and we'll have to stick it back in there with the breaker switch turned off. We're going to determine if they're 15 to 20 amp outlets. These are 15. Just see that by looking at the breaker switch that they're connected to. And so what I've got is a few different hospital grade grounded 20 amp outlets that I'll actually be installing, and one 15 amp outlet as well. However, here's where things start to get unique. Now, when I run these outlets, I'd like to do a dedicated line for specifically the stereo and video equipment.
If I turn on the microwave or the vacuum,
Well, that way there won't be any interference we'll be hearing in our music. You can even see interference in a TV screen from time to time. But let's just say at this point, electricity is going to be what I am working on. We'll get to the basement next. Yeah, I've really been working on things a long time. Just need a fresh coat of paint in the room, a few touch-ups, and well, it's time for a projection screen to go up soon. So I'll finally get to be able to walk you through with me what I'm doing to the home theater room, how I set it up, what equipment I'm using, as well as where things will be. So check back soon, guys. I'll have my next video coming out shortly. Let's just say I've got some things that have yet to come out of their box, and well, a few things that also need to be set up again. Thanks, guys, for watching. Take care. Don't forget to subscribe if you like audio-video stuff. After all, we're the reason I do this.